I am going to talk a lot, and it's going to be satisfying to whoever cares about the Fiend. So let's begin. Why the Wyatt Sicks failed in WWE? Can it ever be fixed? No, never ever. What is or was the best ending possible? The best ending possible. I'm going to talk about that. WWE missed out on a satisfying, cathartic end. And in my opinion, they were very misguided when it came to marketing. Someone in wrestling is a relative to someone who, sadly, they're going to be automatically a babyface, regardless of their character. Uncle Howdy was a heel, and he's very awkward when he's a babyface, and I'm going to tell you why. Let's begin. These are the questions, and I'm going to use just to relaxes your eye. So we all remember how they debuted and what they did, and WO as well. They both did not have a satisfying conclusion. We all just cared about their vibes, about their shenanigans, about the attitude, and all of that. But it's just all about them turning on each other, and that's it. And it's so underwhelming and actually disappointing. These two factions are iconic, they're awesome. But when it comes to ending, when it comes to having a conclusion to their stories, WWE and WCW and ECW and TNA have always been not that satisfying when it comes to having a popular faction meeting an ultimate end. They don't give a nice, satisfying ending. How to do that? You could have Sting ending the NWO when he defeated Hollywood Hulk Hogan in a WCW pay-per-view, and it was, I guess, in Starrcade. DX, you could have a final WrestleMania match when it comes to either Stone Cold Steve Austin or The Rock, splitting DX forever. I mean, eventually you're going to meet an end. Market that end. Alright, let's go back to the Wyatt Sicks. The problem with the Wyatt Sicks is that they remained flat characters, not round characters. What's the difference between a round character and a flat character in English literature? I wish that one day I would be a writer for the WWE. I would have a lot of fun. When you study literature, flat characters are characters that remain how they are for the whole entire story. Round characters, they change. They sometimes become good, evil, this and that, so they change. The Wyatt Sicks are supposed to work with Bray Wyatt or the character of the Fiend itself. That would have been the only way they would work. So they had an amazing debut. And they did what they did to Chad Gable, and then Chad Gable himself joked about, what they did as if it was nothing. I mean, you gave them just 2 more weeks, and then that's it for me. I really was disappointed, even though their wrestling was amazing, their vibes amazing, everything that you wanted out of a horror faction of wrestling. But it's a dead end. Nobody is actually meeting his game over situation other than their characters. Now let's go to this. The best wasted ending in the Fiend's history. The best ending that they wasted. What was the best ending that I thought that they would have actually done? Is that we have a cathartic end to the evil spirit of the Fiend. When you remember Bray Wyatt, when he debuted the Fiend character, and even at the last days of his WWE, career is the best word. So he always talked about that he himself is a nice guy, But the evil spirit of the fiend overwhelmed him and made him a monster. So it wasn't Bray Wyatt himself. It was that magical, supernatural, overwhelming evil spirit, and that spirit consumed his friends or associates. So since Bray Wyatt in real life, sadly, he originated that idea. He carried that idea. I don't know exactly if he originated it, but for sure it's his baby. It was an awesome idea. He was very successful with it, but he's the mastermind behind it all. And the fans loved the Fiend character because of their love of Bray Wyatt and how he handled it. So, you need a cathartic release. How can you make him a member of a faction when he's in real life is unfortunately. How can you make him a member? Because there are 5 members, but when you say 6, you mean, it's a homophone, as in the number 6, SIX. So, you're referencing him. Give us a cathartic ending. What's the cathartic ending? Each character is one of his puppets. That bunny and that pig and, these characters. So they all need to be released from the shackles of that evil spirit and that they meet the light. And each character gains back his sanity and becomes a good human being. That they heal. It's supposed to be a healing process. And that's the biggest story in wrestling at that year, and I think for 10 years ahead, is that an actual real life person created a horror type character, and then you're giving us that final resolution that is satisfying, and that's the biggest type of paying someone's respect for his creativity, is that you give his creation a final, definitive, satisfying ending. And I think that by doing that, they need to win matches. And that, because again, it's wrestling, you need to connect it to winning. So the more that they win, the more that they get cheered, the more that they get loved by the fans, the more that the fans heal them. And then the more that they become better people. Because automatically in wrestling, if there's someone's relative, unfortunately again, he's going to automatically and probably permanently become a babyface. It will become difficult for us to consider them becoming heels. Then make them become healed. Not a heel, but a healing, as in therapeutically becoming normal again. And then that's it. That's the biggest send-off, if you will. Horror wrestling worked with The Undertaker, Sting, and Kane, and now with Lio Rush. Why? Because their characters are not about giving a game over angle. You know what I mean? Game over. Like they did in TNA. They did it, actually. Undertaker multiple times did a game over angle to Paul Bearer, and then he came back again. So it never works. So the Fiend's character is more like a Michael Myers type character, a Jason Voorhees. It's just not satisfying wrestling. You really can't do that. Unless you want to permanently release a wrestler, then do it. But you won't do it, of course, in kayfabe, in fiction. All right. So again, since that the WWE is not like ROH that has a 6-man tag team championship, then you really can't work with a faction unless that each member aids his fellow member in getting titles. The Wyatt Sicks were never about getting titles. And they did not have a satisfying conclusion to pay their ultimate and final respects to the fictional kayfabe Bray Wyatt character, releasing themselves from the evil spirit of the Fiend. So It should have been as I got cut off. It should have been finish the story, Uncle Howdy. Look at Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes. He had two major WrestleManias of us cheering, finish the story, finish the story. And when you think about it, it's really a world title. I mean, lots of wrestlers won that world title. Cody made it worth even more. Uncle Howdy should have capitalized on that situation. But unfortunately, we didn't get to finish the story, Uncle Howdy. Release the evil spirits from all of the Fiend's puppets, you know. We didn't get that, and it was wonky, it was messy, it was awkward. Why did they reach a dead end? Because they did not give them a deadline. Well, thank you for watching. Don't forget to share, comment, and follow. And have a nice day. Talk to me all about wrestling. I love to talk about it. Let me read this. Hurt. Right away. Let me get it. Hurt. What's the other glove says? Oh, healed. Yeah. If we had a satisfying ending, we would have healed.